Great. Thanks, Yulia. And I apologize. I'm just on the tail end of a cold here, so bear with me if I need to drink a little bit more from my coffee cup than normal. So yeah, what we want to talk about, we're going to spend 2 days together, 2 half days. And step one is how to set up your business on Amazon. And again, we're going to start high level and bring it down into something that's much more actionable, of course. I have to, kind of go through this as a calibration just to get everyone on to the same page in terms of what it is and how does it work, et cetera. A number of you have retail, so we're going to talk about how retail works with Amazon, some of the challenges there, of course, and we will riff on the Kindle side because there's definitely some opportunities there, which I didn't put a deck for, but more than happy to talk about it a little bit here, and then I can prep something a bit more formal for the next session if there's interest. Okay, so agenda, we are going to kind of go through overview of we've all introduced. And what I want to talk about is what is the opportunity to export in 2023 using Amazon? It is obviously one of the world's largest e-commerce channels, certainly with the most penetration, and there's definitely opportunities there for all of you to be exporting your products out of Nova Scotia into elsewhere in Canada, to the US, and obviously globally as well. One of the challenges that people have with Amazon is how do you make money? And so we'll talk about that and really how to dive in to that in general for just how the overall fees and stuff work. How do we work? When I have retail, I work with a lot of companies in the food and bev business who have retail placement and need to be aware of how that may disrupt their retail channel when they're on Amazon, but also it can absolutely work together. When we try to maintain the Amazon channel for a business, when I work with a lot of small business owners, there's operational overhead. There's things that we have to know how to do because there's a forecasting process here. We're shipping product in. There's just different rules that we have to be aware of that are important because when you're a small business, you're usually the chief everything officer, and you need to make sure that you have the ability to absorb this into your overall organization. And obviously, Amazon changed during the pandemic. There's been a bit of a blip down, but it's still way up from where it was pre-pandemic, so there's great opportunities there. After we have a break, we're going to talk about product listings. What does that look like? How do people search? How do you get found on Amazon? Because there's how many millions and millions of products, and we have to be able to get our product up above the noise level. PPC, we're going to talk about PPC. Really, what is PPC for Amazon? How does it differ from Google and Meta and even TikTok in terms of that? And they all work together, but certainly there are some differences when it comes to Amazon in general and how people think on Amazon. And then we'll go through a bit of a preparation for the next session. There's some spreadsheets. There's just some information that you're going to need to know so that if you want to set up your Amazon account between now and the next session, that you're able to get that done. If not, it's at least knowing what's required for when you want to. Okay, and so that'll help you out as well. We are going to share the deck and the recording and such afterwards. You'll be sending that out to all of you. And certainly, if there's any questions and things between now and the next session, we will figure out how to make sure I can answer some of those via email. Okay. So without further ado, there's me. And so what I do is I used to work at Amazon around 8 years ago, and when I came back to Canada, I started working with a bunch of small businesses and startups to try to get them to bring products out to the market, and Amazon was one of the channels. What ended up happening is I had a couple folks that were working with me, and pandemic hit. Everyone I had helped get on Amazon needed more help, and they also had friends who needed help. And that ended up driving me to start off the kind of more formal agency where I now have 14 people full-time working for me. And we do Amazon all day, every day, all around the world. Our main focus, because we're in Canada, is working with Canadian brands to bring them onto the platform and then allow them to expand. How do we build from Canada into the US? I've worked for Amazon, BlackBerry. I worked for General Electric when I first graduated from engineering, of all things, at McMaster in Hamilton. And I help out at a lot of different accelerators like the Innovation Guelph, which has some great programs for women and BIPOC founders, as well as the Accelerator Center in Waterloo, which is more tech focused, because certainly there's tech products that need to be put up on Amazon as well. Okay. And so feel free to, check out on LinkedIn and follow us, et cetera, so you can get any additional news. I try to share tips and tricks and the likes of that as well. Okay. So we want to talk about selling on Amazon and the opportunity to export in 2023 and beyond. If there are questions as we go through this, please just raise your hand. You will not stop my train of thought too hard. If there's something urgent, please just get it out there. And I'm sure if you have the question, others do as well. Okay, so we'll start with why we should be on Amazon. Okay, and when we think of being on Amazon, there's a lot of different reasons for being on Amazon. From you all, some of you are on Amazon. What made you want to be on Amazon? What was the key driver for that? And I know Joyce, I'll pick on you because I know we talked a while ago, and you have your stuff on Amazon. Why did you want to go on Amazon?
I wanted to go on Amazon for the potentials to increase sales, and basically that's it, to have the product more accessible to more people and then to boost sales.
Mm-hmm. Which absolutely makes sense, right? So for others who aren't on Amazon, why are you looking at Amazon as a channel? Maybe I can, if it's okay, I'll pick on Lindsay because I know you've got some cool products.
Yeah, so for us, it's kind of similar to Joyce in trying to reach more people with our brand. We're not seeing a lot happening on our own e-commerce, so I wanted to look at more avenues to further expand, and we're putting more of a focus on our B2B right now, and I see it as being a potential B2B partner, if you will, to help us get to the consumer.
And that's interesting. And again, the B2B side is something that Amazon has been trying to do, but it's one of the areas they haven't really executed well yet. Now, it's not that they won't execute it, but B2B is definitely something that they're investing heavily into to try to take over from the classic B2B type suppliers that are out there for cleaning goods and MRO and the like. So very cool. Well, it's interesting because when anyone is shopping, 81% of consumers are conducting that online research. And candidly, where do you think they go? They go to Amazon, right? And so having our product on Amazon is an important step for social proof. And it's one of those things that we all think that, hey, we check reviews. We all read reviews. We also, at the other side of our mouth, talk about all the reviews are fake, right? And so regardless of whether we think it's fake, it still influences our decisions. And so when we're thinking about Amazon, even if it's a strategic channel where we want to make sure we have products up there, great looking products, pages, etc., and strong reviews, even if we're not making money per se, but we have it as a channel, that may be valuable to you. Okay. There's one client that I have where he told me, my investors want me to be on Amazon, make it so I don't lose money. That was his line. That was his bar of success. He sells a quinoa product. And he's like, just break this thing even and I'll have made my investors happy. So that's what we did. Okay. Most people are trying to make money on it, and there's absolutely ways to make money through it. Now, what's interesting too is if your product is in brick and mortar retail, I can guarantee you someone is scanning the UPC code and checking to see if it's on Amazon, one for research, but also looking to see if it's cheaper. Okay. And there's definitely some channel stuff that we have to deal with to make sure that your product is appropriately priced across different channels. So you don't make your retail partners angry, but you also don't kick off any of the bots that are going on with Amazon in terms of how they're searching for the lowest prices everywhere. Okay, and we'll talk a little bit about that later. On average, mentioned on your e-commerce site, e-commerce is about 1.62% conversion rate. Okay, on Amazon we can get 10%. That's kind of my low bar that I want to hit when we have products on Amazon. And the reason for that is because people are immediately wired to buy. Okay, when they're on Amazon, they're there to buy. It's like when you go to a car dealership, you're there to buy a car. So now it's how do we sell you that car? And same thing with Amazon. It's you're there to shop. Very few people just kind of browse around on Amazon without the intention of buying something. And most of the time we end up buying more than we meant to. Okay, so we look at that e-commerce and conversion rate is so important because a 10% conversion rate, even if it's lower traffic because we've highly funneled it, it's still a great conversion rate. We can create some great economic equations to make sure you're making money. Okay, and then lastly, you think of going, the reason people abandon their carts on your e-commerce platform is shipping. Okay, and if there's one thing that Amazon does well, is they ship, right? I can order something right now from Amazon, and a gentleman in a van is going to drop it off at my front porch probably before we're done, which is crazy environmentally, of course, but definitely has some benefits to all of us, where that 2-day prime shipping is a huge benefit that Amazon has. And you can see in the States, Walmart is coming out with their own fulfillment network. Other companies are trying to create that fulfillment network because they realize that that's the secret weapon for Amazon, is the ability to get stuff same day, next day, or certainly 2-day shipping to people. Okay, so when we think of Amazon, there's a ton of just interesting facts that I find. So Amazon owns 40% of the e-commerce pie. There's plenty of monopoly, antitrust lawsuits, and all the fun stuff happening through the US right now. But at the end of the day, they own 40% of the market. And if we're going to, the next one I think is Apple, frankly, and that's because they're selling Apple products, which is a whole different can of worms, right? Daily sales revenue, $1.2 billion with 310 million customers worldwide. And so when we're thinking about traffic that comes to a website where people are searching and finding and buying, this is a big deal, because one thing that your website doesn't have is the same level of traffic of eyeballs of people coming. And that's what Amazon is bringing us. Now, most people start their product searches on Amazon. So what I call Amazon is like the Google for products. So Google, you search for problems. Amazon, you search for products. And so when you go for a product, it's like, I'm looking for a, healthy quinoa, right? Or, gluten-free spaghetti. Okay, that's what people are searching for. On Google, what you find people searching for are, what are the best gluten-free spaghettis? Okay, and it's a different problem search on Google versus the product search on Amazon, and it's highly targeted, which allows us to actually launch ads and do things there to make sure we're going to show up. Okay, now interestingly enough, most of us third-party sellers, and I'll explain the difference between third-party and first-party later, they spend about $5,000 to start up. Okay, they'd be profitable. 3/4 of them are profitable. 63% are profitable within a year. And so what I tell clients is it's typically a 6-month investment to get going, to get up and running. Especially if you're not on there, we have to build social proof. We have to get those reviews. We have to be competing against the right types of products, but it's going to take time. So just like when you go into retail, usually when I talk to people about retail, it's expect a 2-year ROI on retail. There's sometimes listing fees that we have to deal with. There's better programs now from a lot of the big groceries like the Sobeys and whatnot to reduce listing fees for new brands like this. But at the end of the day, there's definitely an ROI that has to be considered for all these channels. Right? And then I always recommend Amazon Fulfilled by Amazon, the FBA program, because that allows you to qualify for 2-day Prime shipping on your products. And so what happens is we're going to ship, hopefully, pallets into the Amazon Fulfillment Network, and then Amazon is going to distribute that product across their network. So you're all in Halifax, you're probably going to ship stuff into Ottawa, maybe into Brampton near Toronto, because it's such a hub. There's like 7 fulfillment centers around Toronto. I'm seeing a lot of goods go out to Calgary to service the West Coast as well. Okay, so you're going to ship a pallet in, it's going to get dispersed across the network, and we'll talk a bit more in detail later on about how that works. And lastly, so many people in the US are members of Amazon Prime. If it's not for the fast free shipping, it's for Lord of the Rings or whatever show they have going on, because they're just investing in everything. And I remember, with Bezos, the whole thing was, we want to make having a Prime membership just a core staple of everyone. And it's like, if you don't spend the $100 on a Prime membership, it's like you're just giving up so much value. And if you think if you buy, 4 or 5 things a year, even from Amazon, you'd spend that $100 easily on shipping from a regular e-commerce website. Okay, so there's definitely some important things to look at when it comes to just why Amazon. And what we have to think about is, for the product you're selling, does it fit into those consumers? And there's a couple categories that I heard, which we'll certainly go through, because handmade is a big thing with Amazon. They're going after Etsy. Okay, B2B, right? They're going after the Acklins Grangers of the world for MRO equipment and such, by offering B2B deals and such. So they are doing all those things. And then Kindle, obviously where Amazon started, the bookstore turned into the everything store. And Amazon Kindle is a great way to get yourself self-published, but then also print on demand and the like for any of the products you may be thinking there. Okay. So why do people shop on Amazon? Honestly, fast free shipping, always number one. And candidly, if I try to ship something, I'm in Guelph, about 45 minutes outside of Toronto. And what's funny is it cost me $20 to ship something to Toronto. Okay. So for me just to do a small shipment, $20, in my economic equation, I have to sell over $100 of product if I want to be able to kind of dollar cost average that at profitability to take off the $20. And so the fast free shipping is such a huge opportunity for customers. Obviously, everything they need, people are Prime members, best pricing is only 50%. And that's kind of interesting, because there's plenty of clients that I've worked with where on their e-commerce site, they have a lower price. Okay. In brick and mortar retail, they have a lower price, but on Amazon, they have a higher price. And it's because of the fast free shipping. Someone can buy, for example, 1 jar of product rather than having to buy 16 jars of product to get that free shipping required. Now, product reviews and recommendations, people are still influenced by those. Unique items, this is something that's kind of growing. This is the Etsy kind of take over the handmade space. And I've done a lot of handmade products specifically in here because it's less competitive. And for people who, when we're dealing with small businesses that may have limited budgets, the handmade space is a great opportunity for us to go after the handmade sellers in that kind of ecosystem, rather than trying to go against the, potentially the factory direct from China that may be doing similar types of products, but certainly not the same. Okay. Now, what everyone cares about is, how do we make money? Okay. And so from a money perspective, and conversion rate to reach more customers. Okay. So Yusuf has a question here. Sorry, I just saw it come up. Amazon, largest market to reach more customers, and the conversion rate is much higher compared to other platforms. Yeah. So 100%. Amazon, even in Canada, frankly, is the largest e-commerce platform again. I think the Apple Store is next in line. In Canada, there is no comparison with Walmart. Walmart does not have the same fulfillment network in Canada. They're starting to build in the US. And really for across Canada, the fact that I can sell something in Halifax and ship it to Nunavut and somebody can still get it within a reasonable period of time is pretty remarkable without having to pay $20 for shipping on those things. Okay. So before we move on, just make sure, are there any other questions? Okay, cool. So how does Amazon work? Okay, I want to go through this. Amazon is all about the customer. Okay, and so one thing you look at with Amazon is how do you beat the system? And the way that we beat the system is realizing what Amazon cares about. Amazon cares about the customer. The customer experience is all that matters. And even so far as when we were developing products at Amazon, one of the weird things, but it was still a thing, is Bezos would sit there and he'd have a chair that was empty. And that empty chair was the customer. And so anything we're talking about when it comes to products and pricing and how we're going to go to market, et cetera, the customer should not be offended by what they're hearing in terms of how we're going about it. So when we think about the customer, Amazon protects the customer experience at all costs. So what that means, though, as a seller, is sometimes we are guilty till proven innocent. Meaning, if we have natural health products where we are making a claim, we must have an NPN. And the only claims we can make are what are on the NPN. So on your website, for example, somebody may say, this cream helps with eczema. Okay, that's a medical claim. We need to have proper documentation around that. Regardless of whether people have told you that it helps with eczema, it don't matter. If you don't have the documentation for it, then you can't make that claim on Amazon. Okay, and so that becomes a bit of a friction point for some folks who have skincare products and the like, because I have evidence that it helps with eczema, but I don't have the documentation for it. And so we have to be careful about that. Secondly, when we have cleaning products, which some of us have cleaning products, we have to be very careful about using words like disinfect. Okay, disinfect means it has to be regulated by the EPA, Environmental Protection Agency, and that's a whole other can of fish that you have to go into to get that approval. All right, so there are absolutely ways to list cleaning products on Amazon. Happens all the time. Okay, we have to be careful about tripping over these things like the word disinfect. All right, so when we think about the customer, what does the customer care about? Well, the customer cares about the best price being available all the time. And for some of you may have heard through the news outlets that the Federal Trade Commission in the US and 17 states are suing Amazon for anti-competitive behavior. Okay, and so what Amazon forces sellers to do today is digitally, the Amazon price needs to be the lowest price digitally. Okay, what that means is if we're selling our product on well.ca or Healthy Planet or any of these other e-commerce sites, where the cost on those sites plus their shipping fee has to be greater than or equal to what Amazon is charging. Okay, so if I sell for $24.99 on Amazon, then I can't sell for less than $24.99 on Healthy Planet when they include the shipping fee. Okay. And that's one of the anti-competitive behaviors that the FTC is going after Amazon for, et cetera. It does create problems. I see this all the time where we do a deal with Healthy Planet to get on, et cetera. We offer a 30% off discount. When we have the 30% off discount, even with their fee of $7.50 for shipping, they're a nickel below the price you have on Amazon. What happens is your experience on Amazon gets deprecated. It means they get rid of what's called the buy box, which I'll show you as we go forward. Okay, so Amazon wants the lowest price possible so people can trust that they're going into that experience knowing they're getting the best deal possible. One thing to note is, of course, your website doesn't count. Okay, so they're not looking at your Shopify site. It doesn't get enough traffic to really tilt the scales versus a well.ca or Healthy Planet or Nature's Emporium, et cetera. Okay, and most of the grocers, from what I see, like Sobeys and the like, they don't really have a website experience that they care about. Okay, now the reason Amazon has not made a profit since its inception is because of Prime availability, essentially. They invest every dollar plus some into the fulfillment network, which allows people to get products quickly. And when I worked at Amazon, I had the opportunity to spend a week working in a fulfillment network, fulfillment center. And it was interesting. Like we went through, did every part of the whole portion. And it was funny, I went in it was the end of August, and you could see people buying back to school supplies and then like workout DVDs and things like that, because like, kids are going away and people wanted to get back in shape, right? And what's interesting is it has all of that. And you can put an order in to the bucket and send it away on the cart. That person behind their computer can then add another thing. And by the time it gets to the bucket at the top where you pack it, that extra item is there. And it's absolutely amazing what they've done for that fulfillment center. And so if we can leverage the power of that through our own operations, that's huge. Okay, and there's some things we can do to make sure we kind of work well within that system. And then lastly, this whole seller rating thing. Okay, so we have two types of ratings. We have seller and product rating. Amazon works as a catalog. Okay, so if you sell your product into Purity Life, okay, Purity Life is a distributor, a lot of natural health products, etc. Purity Life is going to sell to anyone with a wallet, and those people may use Amazon as a channel to sell your product. So what happens is on a listing, you see multiple sellers, right? And you may see ships from Amazon, here's you and you're selling it as well. But you may also see reseller 32, reseller 45, et cetera, et cetera. Because Amazon works on a catalog system, they want to have that same product, one detail page with all the people who are selling this, so they can fight over the buy box. And the buy box is that thing that is right in the top right corner, which we'll go through, to say, put in my cart and buy me now. So the person who has the highest seller rating, who's delivered as a seller to customers with the best price and Prime availability, is going to have that buy box initially. Okay, there's a little bit of a complex algorithm they use, but that's kind of the gist of it. The product is a separate rating. The product has a rating that says this is a good product. The seller has a rating to say they sent this to me properly. It came, I saw the picture, I bought it, I looked at it when I received it, and it was the same thing. Okay, so seller rating, absolutely important. Product rating, super important, because at the end of the day, if you're a private label seller with your product on Amazon, you're hopefully keeping a channel that's clean. So your seller rating and your product rating will be highly correlated. Okay, but there's definitely things we have to be considerate of when we have distribution into the channel, and we'll talk about that. Right? So that's honestly how Amazon works. Okay, you have the lowest price available yesterday and have a good seller rating, you're going to do well. Okay. Doesn't mean you make money. And so we're going to go through how to make money as well later. There we go. Okay. So when we're working with clients, there's a few things that we work through in a lot of detail. And this is something that for your own profitability, highly important here. So you need to understand your numbers down to the last penny. Okay. If you do not understand your numbers, you're going to lose money. And there's plenty of startup owners and founders that I work with where they don't understand the product cost to the last penny. And so we have to work on that first. There was a lady that I met at a show. She was selling chocolate, which is a meltable product. There's different complexities around chocolates. But she was selling one bag. Let's see, I have toffee, same thing, okay? Selling one bag of toffee. It's closed. Otherwise, if I open this up, I'm going to kill it. So one bag of toffee, losing 50 cents a bag. And like, how is that? What are you doing? And what it was is because she didn't understand all the fees that are required to sell on Amazon. And selling one bag like this as a seller is incredibly difficult because the entry point for shipping on Amazon is roughly $6. So if I sell this for $12, I have to make it, package it, ship it into Amazon, advertise for it, minus the $6, minus the referral fee, I'm losing 50 cents a bag. And so you have to know your product COGS to the last penny. If volume is going to help us, then we should know what that volume is and plan for that. Okay, but we have to look at our cost of goods as well as our sizes and such, and we're going to go through that. Secondly, we need to know the competition. And so the competition, both online and offline in brick and mortar retail, and how it changes in the marketplace. So there's plenty of brands that are selling in offline retail. They'll sell in Sobeys as an example, and they're going through a distributor, and they're selling in retail, and they say, hey, why don't I put this up on Amazon? Right? Well, now a new entrant has come into the marketplace, and they may have dollars that they can advertise, they can blanket pages to make sure that they're going to be seen for your key keywords. And so we have to make sure we're monitoring the competition to see what new entrants are coming in. And we can monitor sales velocity. We can look at how good they're doing or how not good they're doing in terms of their detail page execution and such. And additionally, so UNFI as a grocery retailer, a distributor, has a vendor account. And so as a vendor, you're able to sell to Amazon rather than through Amazon. So there's lots of things we have to watch on the competitive marketplace to ensure that people are not going to choose someone else's product over yours. Okay, so we have to monitor that. And then supply chain. Okay, if you cannot stay in stock on Amazon, that's a bad day. And the reason for that is because you fight to get up to the top for your keywords and your rankings. If you go out of stock, Amazon says, you're not a good seller. You're not a reliable seller. And so staying in stock is critically important. So we have to manage forecasting and capacity to stay in stock. Because if you think of, the old game snakes and ladders, okay? You go up and you hit that snake and all of a sudden you're down at the bottom again. And that's how it kind of is on Amazon when it comes to supply chain and forecasting and capacity. So if you cannot stay in stock, and That could be a high-class problem, right? We're selling too well, et cetera. But we have to make sure we can adjust and catch up. And if I have multiple channels and I'm a startup, cash flow is a thing. And so we have to prioritize where that cash is going for stock and which channel it's going to go into. So we have to make sure that we're planning for this for Amazon as a channel. Okay, just like a retailer, if you don't have stock for that space that you have on their shelf, they're eventually just going to replace you, right? And Amazon can do it like that because it's all digital, right? Okay, so Yusuf, what's the minimum profit I should consider selling Amazon? I have a slide on that. We'll talk about it. How to keep your PPC low as possible? Yes, I will talk about that as well. And how do you manage forecasting to stay in stock and how to avoid paying too much inventory fees on Amazon? Okay, so when it comes to forecasting, Amazon provides us with tools inside the portal to look at the 7-day, 30-day, and 90-day run rates, okay? And we can look at velocity metrics that are going on directly in the Amazon portal. What this allows us to do is to plan our forecasting for each of the SKUs. It's down to the color, right? So if you had the same product with 5 different colors, you'll have a SKU for each color, and you'll be able to see that forecast. Okay? You have to be able to look at that and determine, hey, Prime deal days are coming up on October 10th and 11th. Am I going to run a deal? What bump do I expect to plan for? And get that inventory in at least 2 weeks prior so that it's available for sale. Okay, so from an inventory planning perspective, Amazon provides tools for that. You may need to have your own kind of overlay of, I know these deals, or I know, for example, Black Friday, Cyber Monday is coming, or I have one client where they have a heart medication, a natural health supplement. It's Healthy Heart Month in February, right? So we always plan, February's got a deal, we make sure we have inventory in, so we have our own marketing calendar as well. Okay, so when we're thinking about stocking and forecasting, it's critically important that we have the Amazon tools, which they give you the tools. We then overlay our own marketing calendar for deals and discounts we may be running across channels to make sure that we're going to stay in stock. Okay, now there's definitely fees for storing inventory. And so, because the question came up, I'll answer it now. Amazon is a fulfillment center. They are not a warehouse. So there's this tension that goes on inside of Amazon, which is, I want to have 1-day or same-day Prime shipping. Well, if I have 1-day or same-day Prime shipping all across the country, that means I have to have a bunch of stock all over the place, right? Because if somebody in Calgary orders it, then the Calgary FC will deliver, right? But if somebody in Churchill, Manitoba orders it, I still want to get the product to them in 1 day. And that means I have to have stock nearby. And so there's this tension because Amazon doesn't want to store your goods. They want to ship your goods, but they also want to have 1-day shipping. And so there's a lot of rules that Amazon has come up with where they've changed over time. They have one thing called long-term storage fees, okay? Long-term storage fees now are when your product has been sitting there for 365 days, okay? So if you have product that hasn't turned in a year, that's a bad day for you because they charge you a crap ton of money, all right? And so what we want to do when it comes to the fulfillment side is we see our aged inventory report and we can see how quickly is our inventory turning. And we need to know this because we may have to run a removal order to get that inventory out of the system before we get charged a bunch of money. The good news is that Amazon's day-to-day monthly storage fees are not that bad. Okay. It's based upon the space that you take up in their fulfillment center. So if I have a product like this, it's pretty low. If I have, and I have a case of soda on the ground here, if I have a case of soda, it's going to be a bit higher. But we budget for that in our overall profitability, and we have to have a turn on that product. Okay. So when it comes to inventory fees and the like, don't keep your product in there for 365 days. It'll be a very bad, expensive day. Okay. Now, with inventory and storage, because I mentioned that there's a tension that is occurring inside the system, they're changing the rules on that pretty frequently, where they've now measuring velocity that each seller has and how much storage space you can keep versus each of us would start with the same amount. So there's all these new rules, a little bit inside baseball. We don't have to go through that in detail here. But at the end of the day, you're looking at Amazon as a fulfillment network, not a warehouse. Okay. And then what is the reaction of stock? If a stock out is a result of surprising sales. Okay. So that's where I call it a high class problem. What ends up happening though is Amazon still penalizes you. Okay. So when I have, for example, if I got to a keyword organic ranking 1, as an example, and I go out of stock, I fall down, I go down the snake, right? Now, when I get back in stock, I can quickly get back up to number 1 because I clearly have a popular product. But for that first couple weeks, I may have to overinvest in pay-per-click advertising to get to the top again, so customers know that it's there. And then when I sell a pay-per-click, it raises me organically, and then all things will be back to normal, but it may take a couple weeks. So there's definitely ways to do it, and you just have to look at your investment on the paid side. Okay. Yeah. A surprising number of sales is a high-class problem. We deal with that. Okay. So from a fundamentals perspective, are there any other questions or stuff that people want to ask? Yes. Okay. So question here, Facebook ads work for Amazon, PPC's best. So I'm going to cover PPC I got a whole section on PPC. We'll dive into that one. Okay. Quick answer is yes. Amazon wants external traffic, and we'll talk about that. Okay. So competitive analysis is a fundamental thing as a product manager that we have to do. Okay. So when we're launching a new product, whether it's a skincare product, whether we're launching a new cleaning product, if we're launching a new soda brand, we have to do a competitive analysis. And competitive analysis has really 4 elements of it that we have to consider. Okay. Step 1 is pricing. And we want to look at this. How much are they willing to pay for the product on the platform? Okay. So when we look at the product on the platform, that means selling on Amazon. So I may be able to charge $34.99 on the platform, but on my website, I charge $29.99. Or in brick and mortar retail, I charge $29.99. Okay. The only time, again, we have to be careful is when we have pricing digitally that is competing against each other. So Well.ca and Healthy Planet are kind of the bane of my existence sometimes. And because we have a lower price, even if it's a nickel, when they have that shipping cost added, can cause problems in the channel for us. Okay. But there are many, many times that people will pay more for your product on Amazon because they get it so quickly, but they also trust Amazon. Okay. And I think that's one of the key things when you think of this as a channel is I have no idea if your product is a good product. If I go to your Shopify site and I buy it, you could tell me all you want, that you offer a full guarantee and money back this, etc. Okay. But at the end of the day, I still have to trust that you will actually adhere to the guarantee. Whereas Amazon, I know they'll give me my money back, right? So I may pay a bit more. It's almost like an insurance policy to say, I will follow your pricing. Okay. So super important to know our pricing. Now, the positioning of our product in the marketplace. Okay. So how do we fit in the market with our product? Now, if I have a product that is competing, like, we'll pick on the cleaning space. Okay. Miss Myers is your kind of number one cleaning brand out there. I think they're owned by, one of the evil, Procter and Gamble or something like that as well. And it's like their play on being good. And so they have all the money. What we have to figure out is how do we fit into the market sphere, and how do we make money in that space? So if we have your Miss Myers cost per ounce, we may not be able to compete with them on a price per ounce because they have just economies of scale. What we have to do is position our product where it fits with some of the other benefits that we have, right? So the eco message, the green message, the fact that we're, cleaning up areas of Digby, I think is what I heard, to make it go. Okay. And so there's a lot of cool opportunities here that we can do, but we have to know where we fit. Okay. When we look at going into the marketplace, how do we position? Are we the low cost value brand? Okay. In Ontario, we have like No Frills. I think, I'm not sure if you have No Frills out there. Food Basics, right? It's that No Frills brand. And then I have the Zayres brand or Sobeys or Metro, right? And then I have now Longo's, Fortino's, Whole Foods, and that's the different positioning that's going on. And so we have to figure out where we fit in that positioning matrix so that we can price it accordingly and capture the value. But a lot of that's going to come down to branding and how we show our product and talk about our product. Okay. Now, packaging isn't just the physical packaging that we put our product into. Okay. Packaging is how we bundle things together. Okay. So when we sell something, what comes with? Am I selling a solution? So if I have a skincare product, okay, pick another product here. I got a skincare product. Okay. Now this is a one-off, solves one problem. Okay. It has a price of, I don't know, $12.99. I'm going to try to make money selling ones of these. Okay. Now on Amazon, trying to sell this as a one-off on Amazon and make money, next to impossible. Okay. What I have to do is say, I'm going to put 2 or 3 of these together. That's a bundle. That's a package that I've created, which says the life cycle of that customer, they're going to buy 90 days worth of the product. It's 30 days for each tube here. Okay. That's one type of package. It's like a Costco deal. The more you buy, the more you save, you package it together. Okay. But a different kind of package is saying, well, I understand my customer and the journey of that customer. And so they need the spritz thing, and they need this, and they need something else. And I think one of the ladies here has a kind of wellness bundles and the like. That's a package. Okay. And that package is about making sure we're driving higher average sell price and greater profitability. Because when I put 3 of these together into a bundle, I can now sell it for a higher average sell price, but my shipping cost, 3 items go into a box, it costs the same amount as that 1 box going. So we look at a package together that allows me to provide value to a customer as a one-stop opportunity. We have to understand how the customer is going to engage with our product. We have to understand our pricing and our positioning before we can do packaging. Okay, because we may end up putting so many things into a bundle that it's $1,000, and people are like, I'm not going to spend $1,000. It's too much, right? It may be I can package a $60 bundle, a $90 bundle, and a $120 bundle, right? And we have a customer journey that's going to fit each of those unique applications. So understanding my pricing per product, my positioning, and then how I package those together in a solution is important. Now, if I'm doing, like one of the gentlemen here was doing more art, fine art and woodwork and stuff like that, I'm not necessarily looking at, that's a different value prop, right? It's, I like that painting, I like that piece of art. It's not about bundling per se, even though you may be able to do some of that, but it's really that product has to have the right value. It still has to be priced and positioned correctly. Okay, where does it fit in the grand scheme of things? And it's hard for me to sell a piece of art for $10,000, perhaps, if somebody doesn't know who the artist is, right? Or it has to be way over the top in terms of just people go, wow, boom, right? But those eureka moments are fewer and far between. So we've got to look kind of where things fit in the grand scheme of things. All right. And lastly is placement. So placement is all about where it is in the ecosystem. Okay, so where the product is in the storefront on Amazon, there's something on Amazon called page 2. I don't think anyone goes there. Okay, just like Google, does anyone go past page 1? No, right? So we want to make sure we're on page 1. There's a lot of paid slots to get there. I know there's a lot of questions about PPC, which we're going to go through. And what we're going to do is make sure that we're going to be placed appropriately on that page for the keywords that matter. Now, there's going to be some keywords that we can't afford to pay to get into. Okay, so for example, very short keywords, right? Very high intent keywords. Pain cream. Okay, that's going to be owned by Procter & Gamble and those folks. Okay, longer tail, organic pain cream. Okay, getting a bit longer, right? Non-greasy organic pain cream. Okay, super high intent, much fewer searches, but a higher probability of converting. And so we can go after those types of keywords in our ad strategy to show up higher for those ones. I'm going to let Procter & Gamble own pain cream because I can't fight against their budget. But I can certainly go after these smaller keywords that may have 100 searches a month. They may have 1,000 searches a month. Okay, but pain cream, I'll tell you, has probably 10,000 searches a month. And we're going to work our way up. So when I think of placement, the analogy that I always use is we got to fight in the right weight class. Okay, pain cream is Mike Tyson. Okay, I got to work my way up before I could take him on. And so we want to find the ones that are kind of smaller, other smaller brands that may not be doing it properly on Amazon that we could take advantage of. Okay, and we're going to work our way up to go against the name brand things that you would see in Rexall, Shoppers Drug Mart, London Drugs, Sobeys, etc. As we gain more momentum on Amazon, as we build more cash on Amazon to allow us to invest in those tougher keywords. Okay. Now, how do I find which items to bundle with my products? Or should I bundle the same products? Okay, so in terms of bundling, the way that we find the right bundles is one, we have to understand our customer journey. Okay, so base camp for bundling is I have one, I sell 3 of the same thing. Okay, absolute base camp. But I was working with one client who sells feminine hygiene products, and for her product, for the numbers to make sense, we had to sell a year's worth of product because it's small and light, it's bulky, right? And so it didn't make any sense for the customer journey because nobody's going to buy a year's worth of product. And so then we have to look and go, okay, well, if I have to put too much together for the customer journey, are there logical things that I could put together that complement each other? And so from a complementing perspective, I have, okay, let's pick up some of this. I have way too much toffee on the floor. So I have a bunch of toffee. I can sell 4 bags of the same flavor, or I can put together multiple flavors together into a bundle that are going to allow customers to taste and try the different kinds. And I would do perhaps a smaller bag instead of the big bag to give them a sample across. Then they can decide to come in and buy the 1 pound bag of toffee for the one they really liked. Okay, that's a customer journey that we look at. Other journey stuff that we can do is this. So this client has put together a wonderful bundle. Oils, honey, seeds, they made it into a product, right? And this is their discovery bundle, okay? We sell bottles of this, singles, 2 packs, and a 4 liter, okay? But for somebody who doesn't know us, they know what camelina oil is, there's a nice discovery pack. And that's a great gift pack, right? And so we think about the customer journey when we're putting bundles together. And on this product, our margins are a little slimmer, but on purpose, because we're trying to get them in with this to then come back and buy lots of that, right? And so there's kind of art and science to this as we're going through the process. And that is all about product management. Now, when it comes to the UPC codes, there's a couple things we do. You can pull a UPC code from GS1. You usually have to buy a bank of, I think it's 10 is the minimum. Even though I think you can buy one off. But you buy a bank of UPC codes, and we assign a UPC code to the product. Okay, so that's one way to do it when it comes to bundles. You don't need to, though. If you have the trademark for your brand and you register your brand with Amazon, you can use Amazon's barcodes on these things. Okay, so we could do Amazon barcodes. It's only for Amazon. We test it on Amazon, and then we determine if it makes sense for us to put a proper UPC on it to then sell it, a bit more consistently. Okay, so knowing the system and how that works, so we can package things together into a customer journey, right? The customer journey on that discovery box, pretty clear. Try all of our products. Some of them are not the same normal size. It's on purpose more sample size-ish, okay? To then come back and buy more of the big stuff that you love, right? Or my toffee example, I could put a bunch of the same flavor of toffee together. I could put a couple different flavors of toffee together. When I'm having, like right now, we're going to be heading into the holiday party season, what have you. So putting some holiday bundles together, those are things that we can do in terms of how we package and position in the marketplace. Okay. Perfect. Are there any other questions about this? And I promise we're going to talk about PPC. Well, I absolutely will. All right. Cool. Okay. So fundamentals for profitability is we have to understand our product costs. And this is the raw material, the manufacturing, the packaging, the shipping, and the duties. Okay. And the shipping is shipping in to Amazon. We may ship a box, which has a master case, for example, where I put 24 of these into a case. I ship that into Amazon. Okay. That cost is then allocated. It cost me $20 to ship 10 of these into the system. I'm going to keep my math easy. Then it's $2 a unit, right? I need to know that. I need to know how much it cost me to buy all the bits and pieces, put it into the jar, and get it ready for shipping into Amazon. And sometimes I may have to have my co-packer ship it to me for me to then ship it into Amazon, right? Because the co-packer is going to send us a whole bunch of it. We have orders for Sobeys, we have orders for here, orders for there, and we're going to ship into Amazon. right? So we're going to ship it into a central warehouse. All the fees that are associated with pick, pack, ship, and all the transfer points that may be going on, we have to know those, okay? Because those 50 cents, 50 cents, 50 cents, all of a sudden add up on us. And when I'm selling products that are sub $30 on Amazon, those 50 cents all count, okay? Now, from a packaging cost, that packaging is if there's any additional, certainly the package it sits in, but if I'm putting two together and I'm cellophane, putting a piece of cellophane around it, I'm stickering it, there's going to be additional co-packing fees, right? Now, the shipping cost is shipping into Amazon, okay? So as I said, you're going to be putting boxes, master cases into Amazon. We may be able to ship a pallet at some point, but usually when you're just starting out, you're shipping master cases into the system, okay? We have to understand duties. So if, for example, we are getting product shipped in from China as part of the piece, so for example, this jar comes from China, all the ingredients are coming from here, there, everywhere, we're building this into this lavender stuff, we have to know what those are because those are all things that are affecting us, okay? If we're shipping into the US, making sure that it's covered under the USMCA, and what does that mean? You have to know all those things, okay? Because Amazon is going to charge us an FBA fee, fulfilled by Amazon fee, if we're using that service, which I absolutely recommend. And that's based upon the XYZ and mass of the product, okay? So Amazon has bands of weight classes. If we are over 500 grams by 1 gram, we go to the next weight class. So you pay for the whole next 100 grams of weight class because of 1 gram. And that could cost you an extra 32 cents per unit, right? And those are things we have to be aware of, is that if I have a fulfillment fee because of 1 gram and it costs me an extra $1.50, which it absolutely can in some of the weight categories, that could be the difference between making money and not. All right. So a lot of times what I'm working on with clients is saying, you can't make money on one of these. You just can't. But when we do two, my fee goes from $5.90 to $6.32. But now I can sell it instead of for $12.99, I can sell it for $24.99. My fee went up marginally. My revenue went up greatly. I can now make money. Okay. There's a little more complexity to that when you look at competitive positioning and whatever. But at the end of the day, knowing that fee, knowing how to do that is absolutely important to do. Okay. So when we also look at Amazon's fees, which we'll talk about, they also have pay-per-click fees, which I know there's a lot of questions on, which we'll get into. And then they also have a referral fee. Okay. And so there's other fees we have to account for as part of it. Okay. So profitability is one of the things that we want to make sure we absolutely understand, and knowing everything down to the last nickel. Incredibly important. Right? Sorry. So how much do you expect to make? 40% of margin. Okay. After ad spend, 20 points. Right. So when we look at this, the 40% margin is one of these things where customers come in, they buy the product. Okay. So on our best case, somebody's kind of search, find, buy. A lot of buyer intent. They may already know your brand, right? And we see this all the time with people who have brick and mortar retail locations. They're selling in Sobeys, as an example. People go to Amazon to just buy it. I don't want to go to the grocery store more time. I've been to the grocery store 4 times this week, right? And so we just buy it. When we have to account for ad spend, what we do is we count for direct ad sales, but then that ad spend gets spread out over all of my organic sales as well. Okay, so I may have an ad spend percentage on a sale of 40%. Okay, which means I'm not making money. But if I'm selling both organic and pay-per-click, it balances itself out. Okay, so the most important metric when we're running ads is the total advertising cost. Okay, so if I spent $1,000 to sell $2,000 of product, that total ad spend as a percentage is 50%. Right? If I sold $1,000 or so I sold $2,000, it cost me $1,000 in ads, and that was my ad sales. Plus, I sold an additional $1,000 organically on the platform. Now that tacos, the total advertising cost, is down to 33%. Okay. So as you may be able to tell, Amazon is a big spreadsheet. Okay. It's all math and knowing how we can absolutely make 40% margin before ad spend and 20% after. There are some categories that are going to be highly competitive. Okay, I was talking with someone actually on the East Coast in the marine collagen space. Okay, and so when we first started talking, I'm like, okay, collagen powder, marine collagen or other, is highly competitive. When Vital Proteins can afford to pay Jennifer Aniston to be their spokesperson, you know they're making money, and they're making way more money than you. So we have to find niches that are going to work for us. If we try a full frontal assault on collagen powder, we're absolutely going to lose our shirt. And you have to be strategic with ad spend. But you can absolutely do this. Okay. Now, can you sell on Amazon without ads? So yes, but okay. Unfortunately, Amazon now in 2023 has really become a pay-to-play platform. Okay. So whereas, in 2015, yeah, you could put something up there and it would organically rise to the top and whatever, but now it is absolutely a pay-to-play platform. When I work with clients in Canada and we're selling products across Canada, we have a budget that I would say we need $500 to spend on ads. Okay, just to start. And we are looking for data in the first month, 2 months. Okay. What we're doing is we're trying to find keywords that are having clicks but no conversions, keywords that have no clicks, and keywords with clicks and conversions. Because we're trying to see what's going on with customers and their behaviors. We're looking to see if the detail page is the problem, the imagery is the problem, right? Or do we just not have enough reviews to convince people that it's a good product? Like, what is it? And those are the hypotheses that we're going to work our way through. Now, I have some keywords that are absolutely losing money. And that's okay, as long as your total business is not. So for example, I may advertise on a competitor's page, which has a higher cost per click, but I want to steal an order. Okay, that's great. And we're going to pay more for that. And we're going to budget it appropriately. So it's like, how much money do I put into that to make a sale versus how much money do I do on my branded terms and how much do I do on kind of generic terms in the marketplace. Okay. So I was just doing an ad review last night. We spend $10,000 a month on ads. Okay. They have the cash flow, looks great. There's some campaigns where I absolutely have over 50% ad spend on them, but it's $100 of the $10,000 spend, right? And so when you get into higher spend, when you get into opportunities because you're growing the brand, now you can invest in some of those more competitive words to try to get more customers to keep it going, right? If you come out of the gate on Amazon and just say, hey, boom, here's my product. Here's $10,000. I have no reviews. I'm competing for the most competitive keywords with the big top search bar. It's absolutely going to be an expensive education. Okay, so we got to be smart about how we do this. We got to make sure we can actually win, right? So when we're working with Amazon, there's a ship into Amazon cost, which we talked about. There's a sell out referral fee, which is typically 15% of the sale price. If we're doing grocery items below $20, it's only 8%. If it's handmade, the referral fee is 12%. Okay. And so that referral fee is based upon the MSRP of your product or whatever you sold to the customer at. Meaning, if you offer a discount, let's say we did 50% off for Prime Deal days, then you're paying the referral fee on what the customer paid. Okay, so you're not paying it on your MSRP, you're paying it on what the customer paid. There's fulfilled by Amazon fees, which are charged based upon the XYZ and mass of the product. Now realize that if you're selling a big box of feathers, you get charged on something called the dim weight, the dimensional weight, okay? Because it just takes up space in the truck. Okay, so we got to be careful about the dim weight side of things because sometimes we have a product that doesn't weigh a whole lot, but takes up a lot of space. And we got to be careful with that. Okay. Advertising cost, you need to budget 20% of your product MSRP. Okay. And it's going to fluctuate, but I always use a 20% budget to do that. Additionally, there's a $39.99 monthly fee that Amazon charges you to be a Prime seller, well worth the investment. Okay. And in terms of sending outside traffic, yeah, Yusuf, in the US, they will give you 10% referral back on that. So, and again, we're going to talk about ads in a moment. Okay. So the goal for Amazon is for us to make money. We're going to budget for all these items, and we need to have cash flow to make it happen. Okay. So from a cash flow perspective, the advertising cost, you have to budget. And I always tell people, need a couple $100 to start this thing. $500 is better. But if we do this in the US, out of the gate, I tell people I need $1,500. I need $5,000 because it's so much more competitive in the US. What's nice though, because Canada is so close to the US, we launch in Canada, we build some momentum, and then it's really easy for us to ship it across the border into the US. Right? And so that's the pathway that we tend to take. We use review programs like Amazon Vine to get the reviews. Canadians tend to be nicer when leaving reviews. And so that allows us to then take the momentum down to the States. Okay, and that's the playbook that I totally recommend that we do. Okay. Okay, so check time here. I think are we at break? Let me see. It's 10:30 your time, right? So why don't we take a brief break? If that's okay. There we go. Yeah, we talked a lot. Yulia?
Thank you, Don. Yes, let's
Okay.
take 10-minute break.
Yeah, 10 minutes is fine. Just,
Yeah.
you know, bio break, get a coffee, whatever you need, and we'll come right back. Again, if there's questions, send me a DM, no problem, and I'll answer all of them to everyone where appropriate. And if there's any specific questions that are just for you, then just send me a note. It's all good. Okay. Okay. We'll see you in 10 minutes.
Thank you. 10:40.
Okay. Yes, 10:40. That's right. Okay. So got a little bit of catch up to do, but we're going to get through this. And there's a lot of questions about digital products to Polly, which is awesome. I think a lot of that I'll try to prep something on digital products specifically for the next session, because we're going to be able to work through some of the details in that more working session in the next one, and just cover off all that.
Thank you for answering all of that, because
Yeah.
like I
Okay.
actually like have an experience earlier with Etsy,
Yeah.
and it was not like it was kind of not very like fruitful sort of experience.
Yeah.
So I'm little like hesitant, but I'm like very positive about Amazon because it's a big platform.
Yeah.
But yeah, with Etsy, it happened like that. I was there selling digital products for 2 years, and
Mhm.
it was like I was somehow maintaining the balance, because like well, it depends a lot on the like your product coming on the top,
Yep.
and the search words which we are using,
Yep.
and they expect you to keep changing those uh, search words,
Yeah. The Etsy tags.
and keep tags, yeah,
Yep.
and keep increasing your listing, so
Yep.
that you like, yeah, you like there's a much wider like uh, audience for all those products. I
Yeah.
mean, there should be a lot of variety with that. So
Absolutely.
is it similar in Amazon also, something
Yeah.
like
So
that?
absolutely. So what I think we could do is for the digital product side of things, I'll put something together for the next one that you and I can go through, and then also as part of this, we have the opportunity to meet for an hour anyway and go through very specific questions that you may have.
Thank you for that. But you said also that it's a tough market to break in. I mean, are there a lot of competitors? And I'm like, how is your product seen in that platform?
Yeah. So when we do digital products, Amazon is really wired to be a Kindle, so the Kindle Direct publishing,
Right.
and using it for books. Okay, so that's the
Yes.
kind of number one thing for Amazon.
Yes, I explored that option, and I just like, it's like a testing ground actually before investing into publishing the
Right.
book physically. And I'm hoping that, because I read a lot of reviews about that,
Mhm.
there's a lot of demand uh, in that sector,
Yep.
where you can cater to kids. And I mean, like, I'm basically making books for children, and
Yep.
mostly it's like illustrative. So
Totally. So Dipali, the good news is I've worked with a number of authors, and I have one who's a children's book author as well, and so we can absolutely go through this in detail.
is there any figure that I'm looking at before initially investing the amount of money in ads and listing the product on Amazon? I mean, like, how much like should I expect? Keep the figure in mind before starting on Amazon.
Yeah, so before we launch any product on Amazon, we'd want to have probably $5,000 in order to get up and into the system and be able to afford advertising and what have you.
For how many listing is it like?
We'd have to go through it in detail, honestly.
Okay.
Yeah, so
Okay.
let's just I totally get it, and
Uh,
what we're gonna go through the deck stuff here that is a bit more kind of general for everyone, and then you and I are absolutely going to sit down for an hour and go through it.
I hope by the end of the session I'm like clear about that thing so that I can start that
It'll take
store
2
of it.
sessions to do it, but we'll get there.
Okay, thank you so much.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you.
Not a worry.
Yes. Okay.
All right. So what I'm going to do is share my screen and get this going up again. Okay. So one of the things I want to talk about is has Amazon work as a channel for my business? And there may be some terminology that you've heard of called Amazon seller, but also Amazon vendor. And we'll talk about that briefly. And then multi-channel consideration. So I've alluded to this a little bit in terms of if I'm selling physical products in a retail brick and mortar location or a well.ca or Healthy Planet, et cetera. But then also, how do we deal with that? And I'll show you some of the details there. Okay. So Amazon seller versus vendor. If you've ever been to a show, CHFA East just occurred on about, I think, a week and a half ago. And there's Amazon buyers walking around that show. Okay. And what they're trying to do is sign you up to be a vendor. And vendor is not a bad thing. It's just a different thing. So when we are a vendor, we actually sell to Amazon. Okay. Amazon is buying our product. There's a wholesale price. There's a bunch of deductions that they're going to take, but they're going to have it shipped and sold by Amazon. And that's going to allow them to have the scale, and you'll see different pricing and whatever not for those types of products. Okay. Now, what we have to be mindful of is Amazon is going to control your MSRP. We tell them what the MSRP is. They say, absolutely, yes, 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 of course, we agree to that. And then they're going to do optimization. And they're going to work with you, of course, on this and say, let's drop the price by $5. Let's see if we can get more velocity and actually make more profitability, et cetera. But there's a bunch of that that's going to go on. Amazon's going to forecast with you as a seller. They're going to provide you with a purchase order and you're going to ship it to them, right? However, you are still responsible for advertising on and off the platform, okay? Amazon is not going to pay for ads for you. Just like if you got into Sobeys, same thing. Sobeys is not doing the ads for you. You've got to buy the flyer space, you have to buy the banners, et cetera, et cetera. Okay. Now, as a seller, we are using Amazon as a sell-through channel. Amazon is just a portal, okay? And they're going to charge us listing fees depending on the category. So each category, they don't charge us $30,000 like a Sobeys will. They're going to charge us on incremental basis for every sale we make. And so for most of the fees, as I mentioned, it's 15%. It changes, of course, based upon some categories and whatever, but 15% is a good number to use. They're going to charge us that FBA fee that we talked about, but we get full control over our MSRP. Okay. The only challenge we have, of course, is if we have a number of distributors who are also trying to sell my product on Amazon, they start to set their price to try to win the buy box and show up. And that's where we get into a bit of a dirty channel and how do we deal with those people who are trying to save, bring it down by a penny to win the sale, et cetera. And that's something we work with all the time. We forecast a channel, as I alluded to previously. Amazon gives us all the tools and we can forecast that. And we're also responsible for advertising on and off the platform. Okay. So there's benefits of being on vendor and seller. Most people are sellers. Okay. Like 75% of the platform is made up of independent sellers selling products through Amazon. Then vendor, Amazon has a buying team. They buy product just like any other retailer would have. All right. So you can do both at the same time. If Amazon vendor comes to you and says, hey, we'd like to put you on the platform, it's not a bad thing. Just realize that we still have to do advertising and budgeting and whatever. It doesn't mean we have any differences in terms of understanding our cost structure. All right. Now, contrary to popular belief, we can sell multi-channel with Amazon. And most retailers, or even if you have a broker, for example, who's helping you get into different retail locations, they're afraid of Amazon, okay? However, we can absolutely sell multi-channel with Amazon in brick and mortar, in other digital platforms, and on Amazon at the same time. So we look at our business revenue streams, and I have a broker, Okay. A lot of people, if they're going to get into retail, have to have a broker. The broker is the person where he or she has a bag of products and relationships. They're a third-party person, and they're going to sell your product into different locations based upon their relationships. I have physical retail locations like Sobeys that I need that broker to get into because I don't have that relationship that's needed to do so. Okay, and this is pretty common. That physical retail location is going to give us money. And Sobeys, in particular, I know in Atlantic, has direct relationships with sellers all the time for their new seller program. And this allows us to get money directly from a company like Sobeys without having to have a distributor in the way. Okay, but they don't like doing that. I have online retailer, well.ca, as an example, and again, they're going to be giving me money, right? I don't need a broker to get into well.ca. I just need to get a relationship with the buyer on that side. I then have a distributor. And a lot of times for me to get a distributor, I'm also using a broker, okay? Because the broker has a relationship with the distributor, like a Purity Life, and I'm paying money to a broker to get me into that distributor. The distributor is also taking money. They're buying product. Now, all of a sudden, Sobeys no longer wants to buy directly from you because they'd much rather buy through somebody like Purity. Okay. Now I have to adjust my profit margin and my expectations of the channel based upon that new dynamic. Because the broker took 6 points, Purity Life takes 28 points. These guys want 35 points, right? So we have to make sure we're accounting for all the different margins that are being taken from us. Now, the online retailer goes, oh crap, I don't need to buy from you anymore. I could buy from Purity. So there goes that revenue stream, and it's all coming through the distributor. And we have to make sure we're accounting for all the different bits and pieces that are coming off of these. Then I have random resellers. Okay, these random resellers are people who are going to buy product from Purity based upon deals and discounts, and they're going to blanket the market. Sometimes they have small independent channels that they're working through, small brick and mortar natural health stores and such, but also Amazon, where they put it onto Amazon to sell that product. Okay, online retailer coming through random resellers. They're all working in here, and we have to know our margin stack for each of these different channels. Now, on the digital side, I have my own website, Shopify. I have a B2C shopping like at Amazon. I also have a B2B shopping site like Faire. Okay, Faire is a great site because it allows us to get to smaller retail locations directly ourselves without having to go through brokers, distributors, resellers, etc. And every one of these is going to provide a revenue stream for me. All right. Now, the important part about this, the hardest part about this, is managing MAP. Okay, that minimum advertised price across all the channels. Because I have control over here. It's very difficult to maintain control over here. Okay, because remember, the distributor, they run a deal. I have one client where she did a 30% off deal for Purity to get breadth in channel. What ended up happening was all these resellers have a great spreadsheet that tells them whether that, excuse me, they can make money on that product going to Amazon themselves, right? Or going to well.ca or, because there's lots of digital channels. And so having a MAP policy is important for us to ensure that our product is being sold at the appropriate price that doesn't damage our brand. And it works in two ways, because I'm sure you've all seen on Amazon where there's a product being sold that you would normally buy in the grocery store for 20 bucks. And on Amazon, it's $62. You're like, what the hell? And you automatically blame the brand. You don't blame random reseller. So it's important for us to have a MAP policy that's going to allow us to manage what these guys can do over here so that it doesn't mess up anything else we're doing in the channel. Okay, so that map policy, one of the most important things you're going to do when you're starting to sell in retail, but also through distribution and as well online. Okay. Yes, Yusuf. So the 1 hour session is something that Yulian Invest Nova Scotia has invested in for support for the people who are attending the sessions, for us to go through and just kind of dive in and see what's going on. So whether it's looking at specifically how do you get on, or what the heck's happening with my ads. Okay, so we've got that set up as well, and we'll have more details. Okay, so working with Amazon in 2023, if you want to sell on Amazon, we're going to need to forecast sales, manage inventory. You're not getting purchase orders, okay? Unless you have a vendor account, you're not getting purchase orders. And that's one of the things that a lot of people have to get their head around because they're used to working with other retailers who give them a purchase order. That's not going to happen. We need to create shipments and send it into the system to their preferred fulfillment center. So your first shipment is most likely going to go to Ottawa from where you are, or to Brampton, because there's so many fulfillment centers around Toronto. But your next shipment may go to Calgary. And so you need to make sure that you've budgeted for what does that shipment look like and the cost for us to ship, whether it's to Calgary, Brampton, or Ottawa. We also need to track our product performance, keyword ranking, and AdWord ROAS. What is our return on ad spend, right? We need to monitor existing new competitors in the marketplace. We need to manage the product detail page, listing and monitor for resellers. Because again, Purity or any other, I keep picking on Purity, and it's not just their fault by any stretch of the imagination, anybody can buy these products from distributors as long as they have an account with a distributor, right? And they're more than willing to sell it. We have to chase every nickel that Amazon holds onto what I call by mistake, okay? You think of the millions and millions and millions of products that Amazon receives daily, they lose products, okay? And if we shipped it and they lost it, that's their fault, and we can get that money back. Okay, so you need to make sure you know about that. And then we want to monitor for any detail page issues that may occur. So for example, you may list a product and you may mention that it will help with eczema. And Amazon says, okay, yeah, whatever, yeah, let it go. And then out of the blue, usually at Friday at 4 o'clock, they'll take your page down. Okay, and you're like, what the heck? Scrambling, trying to get it back up and running. And so this happens all the time. So we need to monitor to make sure that nothing's happening with the page, because a new rule has come in, right? There's a bunch of new Health Canada rules coming, a bunch of natural health product rules coming, all that fun stuff that we have to be monitoring. Okay, and then seller support may be less than helpful. Okay, seller support is, if you just Google Amazon seller support horror stories, you will see a lot. Okay, there's lots of agents, not a lot of details, and the people who know stuff, you can't actually talk to them. Okay, so we've got to make sure that we're able to work with people who know what they're doing in terms of navigating that system, right? And especially in some categories. Like I had one gentleman I met at a show where he's selling these like fire sticks, okay? And the fire sticks, he's like, yeah, Amazon's easy. You just put it up, and away it goes, et cetera. I'm like, okay, not a problem, because that product category is pretty easy, right? But when we're selling things like cleaners, where we have to watch out for disinfect and sanitize and those types of words, natural health products are absolutely tough. Grocery products can be tough because we have to make sure we have the appropriate documentation, that it's, you know, sold, it's coming from a proper facility, et cetera, et cetera. Okay, so we need to make sure we know what that looks like. Okay, it is possible to sell on Amazon. Millions of people do it. Okay, just we have to go in eyes wide open. Okay, now I'm going to take you through how do we get found on Amazon. Okay, and what's the anatomy of a detail page and a search page listing, just so you know what it looks like and some of the different elements and aspects of it. Okay, so right now people start from the homepage. Okay, 99.99999% of all searches happen from this spot right here, okay? If you click on this hamburger menu over here, you can see different categories. You can go into different categories here. The only one that people typically go to is like coupons, right? When they're searching for a deal, but people do not dive into these categories in any real way. Everyone searches on this guy here and types in something, okay? Whatever they're searching for. And we have to account for the fact that they do a ton of work to raise up in front of people the next autocomplete that most people would type, right? So we want to think about that through there, okay? Now, there we go. So when we search on Amazon, we're sending a signal to Amazon that you're looking for this thing, okay? And Amazon is going to show stuff based upon a number of factors. Is it in stock, right? Number one, if they don't have it, we can't sell it, so I'm not going to show it. Do customers frequently buy? What do they buy after this search? So even if I over invest in a product, I can make your product show up for Batman, okay? I can do it once, maybe twice. But what'll happen is Amazon determines that you are not Batman, okay? Nobody's buying your product when they search for Batman. So even if I offered $100 a click, Amazon's not going to show my product. Amazon is wired to show products that sell. They want to ship product because that's where the magic is. When they can have a full truck going to a neighborhood to deliver goods door to door, that's way more economical for them than just sending a truck with one item in the back of it. Okay. Now, is this selling well in the category compared to its peers? There's lots of glow sticks. Okay. Lots of different things here. And so we're going to rank based upon the velocity of the product. And then lastly, are they actually keeping the product or are they returning it? So if I bought this glow stickle here and people kept returning the thing, they're going to automatically start to rank you down because they're not keeping the product. And what happens when they don't keep the product is there now is a reverse logistics cost. Okay. I return a product. Amazon pays for shipping back. Amazon then has to open the box. They have to take it out. They have to determine if it's still in good working order. And then they put it back on the shelf or put it into a different disposition. There's all costs associated with that. Okay. And there's a small restocking fee that Amazon's going to charge you for returns that occur. Okay. So we have to factor that in. But when I look at this page, what do I see? I see sponsored, 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 organic, right? And this is Amazon's choice, meaning when people search for glow sticks, this is the product that they're mainly choosing. Okay. So lots of sponsored slots. Okay. We can fight to get into these slots. These guys are paying for the sponsored brand slot at the very top. They're also paying to sponsor in the slot here as well. Okay. Real quick question. I saw that, Yusuf. So frozen products, no. Refrigerated products, no. None of that is something you could sell as FBA on Amazon. You can certainly sell it as fulfilled by merchant. It's a totally different conversation on that, where you're shipping it yourself. You could put like ice packs and those things in the product to make sure it's going to get there in time. But yeah, it's frozen and refrigerated goods are not something that Amazon offers through the seller program. Okay. So when we finally pick that product, let's say, for example, I just picked this glow stick. Okay. It's a bestseller. It's sponsored. Away it goes. Okay. So the anatomy of the detail page, number one is the brand. Number two is the title. Number three is our star rating. And number four is where does it fit inside the category? Okay. So the most important thing for SEO on Amazon is the title. Your number one keyword that you're going after should absolutely be in your title. And order matters. So when we have a product on this page, we have the title, sorry, on this page, green glow sticks is the key keyword. Pro tip, the first 85 characters is even more important because at least half of the population searches on mobile. And so if I'm searching on mobile, what has to happen? It's a smaller screen, it cuts it off. And so that primary value proposition really needs to be in that first 85 characters, right? And so here we have Cylum green glow sticks, premium bright 6 inches, right? That's going to fit. That's what they see. Now they can make a decision a lot faster. Okay. Our star rating, how many customer reviews, how that breakdown is, and then this is the category that we're in to show that we're the #1 bestseller in that category. Now, my pricing, and Amazon is constantly communicating to customers if my price is lower than it has been in the last 30 days, right? So normally it's $19.50. Here it's on sale for $10.64, 45% off, right? And then they're constantly trying to get me to do something with Prime, right? So I wasn't logged into my Prime account when I did this on purpose, so you can see that try fast free shipping. So Amazon is trying to get us as a customer to convert to Prime, right? And then number 7 is their availability. Okay, hey, do you want it tomorrow? Make that, buy this now in the next 2 hours and 16 minutes and choose 1-day shipping at checkout, right? And a lot of times the 1-day shipping will have an additional shipping fee associated with it, of course, even if I'm Prime. And a lot of times, candidly, when I buy something on Prime for 2 days, it usually shows up in a day anyway. And that's partly because of my proximity to Toronto, I think. Okay. Now, on the detail page over here, I have my images. Okay. So I have all these image slots. Okay. There's usually, I can have up to 7 image slots, I believe. And then I also have videos that I can put here. Right. And those videos, Amazon's going to give us metrics in terms of what kind of watch through we've had, what kind of engagement we've had, et cetera. And then number 9 is that main primary image that somebody sees default on the search page, right? There's a bunch of rules around this, which you will see inconsistent usage, of course, over across the Amazon platform. But at the end of the day, product, white background, can't have anything else, okay? And yes, you will see some that have, I saw one yesterday that had a red background, is trying to capture people's attention. It's totally against the terms of service. Maybe you got it through when you listed it, but Amazon can take you down at Friday at 4 o'clock without any notification whatsoever because you're breaking their terms of service, right? But this is a good picture, shows the 9 glow sticks, or 1, 2, 3, 12 glow sticks, I guess. And there we go. Okay, 10-pack. There we go. There's my math. So we have a 10-pack, and this is called children. The page itself is the parent. These are the children. And so they have a 10-pack, a 20-pack, and a 30-pack all on here. And the whole idea here is just like t-shirt sizes. I have a blue, extra large, large, medium. I could have red, blue, green, all the same size. Just depends on how we want to organize that. And there's a little bit of art and science to that as well in terms of customer behavior. 11 here is the product features, okay? So what am I doing, right? It's made in the USA under strict quality guidelines. So what they're telling me is that there's feedback on other glow sticks where maybe they came from a different country and the quality hasn't been as expected, right? And so the #1 reason for somebody not buying another product is because of concerns about leakage and whatever not with this product. This is made in the USA under strict quality guidelines. That's a #1 value proposition that they're talking about, because I can get these glow sticks from anywhere, of course. They have a patented long-lasting formula. Again, another major why buy. High up in the list. Guaranteed 5-year shelf life. Industrial grade construction, waterproof, non-flammable, non-toxic chemistry. Right? So if I'm going to give glow sticks to my kids to, monkey around on Canada Day or something, maybe I want to use these because I trust the way that it's built and what their messaging is around quality. Right? Because at the end of the day, a glow stick is a glow stick is a glow stick. Right? But there's definitely different levels of product quality that we have to be mindful of. Over here is the buy box. Okay, this is the most important part of the entire page, the buy box. Because if you do not have a buy box, people cannot buy your product without a lot of friction. So when it gets detected that you have a price elsewhere that's cheaper, Amazon's going to remove the buy box, and they're going to see up here, see other buying options. You click, you pick a seller, and you try to buy the product. It's just not great for the overall experience. But the buy box is where whoever's in the buy box gets the sales. And then we have all these other sellers. Okay, I have this seller here for $11.99, this guy here for $11.99, and all they're doing, it's both free shipping. They're saying, hey, we're going to share the buy box because we both have the same price, and we're going to share that buy box based upon our seller rating, typically. Okay, but there's also 13 sellers from 818 and free shipping. So if I click on this, I could see other sellers as well. Maybe they don't have great seller ratings, or maybe they're charging for shipping, right? And so you sometimes see that where someone who has a poor seller rating may be offering free shipping and selling it for $8.18 to try to get back up in the good graces of Amazon. All right. So when we look here, title, most important thing, okay, in terms of getting customers to find you. That main image, big part of the buying decision when they're looking at your product. And then this buy box, without it, you will not sell product. Okay, and there's ways we got to make sure that buy box stays there. Most of the time it goes away if we have issues with pricing in the channel. Okay. When we scroll down, you get this frequently bought together. Amazon populates this themselves. You do not populate this. So Amazon is saying, well, people who buy the green also buy the pink and also buy these, I don't know, the black ones here. Light brown, ultra bright light sticks with 8 hour, okay, whatever, white, they're white glow sticks, okay, and so they're putting this together and they're trying to get you to add all three to the cart, right? Now, customers who bought this also bought this item, okay, like frequently bought together. These are things that Amazon is controlling. Hey, people who bought glow sticks, they also bought this match kit. They also bought this straw thing for filtering water for emergencies, etc. But then sponsored, okay? Sponsored products. Amazon doesn't care what they sell as long as they sell. So as someone who's advertising, I can put my product into these slots, okay? And it's all based upon how much am I bidding, what's the probability of converting, and the relative strength of this being tied to that, right? So if I'm selling glow sticks, I may be interested in some form of sign to help with an emergency or what have you. Okay, emergency survival kit for your home. Okay, so this is sponsored product that I can bid for. This is Amazon giving us data in terms of what people buy and then frequently bought together. And I can use this to help form part of my ad strategy when I'm creating ads. Because Amazon's telling me what other people are going after. So if I'm selling glow sticks, I probably want to advertise on top of this match kit, on top of this emergency water pouch, et cetera, right? So there's lots of cool data that you can look at here. Same with these guys here, they're stickers. I may want to advertise my glow sticks on top of these stickers because just like the stickers are advertised on my glow stick because they make sense, inversely, they make sense as well. Okay. So the anatomy of a detail page, really important, okay, to understand how it's set up, talking about our why buys in the rank order that they matter, ensuring I have a buy box through pricing. Okay. And okay, so which shipping logistics can handle frozen fish in Canada and the US? Not sure for that. And what certification I need to sell it on Amazon? We should talk about that separately when it comes to such goods. Okay. But in terms of frozen items, when it comes to Amazon, we would have to sell it as fulfilled by merchant. And we would have to make sure that we had the appropriate kind of quality control that'd be required for that to get to a customer so they don't have a bad experience. Right? If they received a bunch of, rotting whole fish, they'd be pretty angry and give you a negative review. Okay, so we can talk about that separately as well, Yusuf. Okay, PPC. So PPC in Amazon 2023. Amazon is a pay-to-play platform. Okay, so if you're going to be successful on Amazon, you need to advertise. Okay, there's a number of different placements, number of different things we can do, and we'll talk about that. Okay, but you also can't do it manually anymore. Okay, when I first started doing this in 2015, I had a lady in the Philippines who was adjusting budgets manually. Okay, that's all she did. And as the speed of the platform and as the competitiveness increased, we just couldn't do that anymore. Okay, and so we ended up getting AI software that you can set where your profitability targets are and what you're able to manage through that profitability. And so this client in particular has a very tight profitability budget. Okay, so I absolutely know we are losing opportunity, but he doesn't want to sell a product at a loss. So we have on this account, this is just last month, there's a US product in the US, a 7 ROAS, 7.14, means every $1 in, got $7.14 out, right? Because he has such tight profitability, I can go down to about 6, and then after that, he's got trouble, right? So if he had a 4 ROAS target, the lower it is, means the less money you made per item, then I could get that impressions up to at least 50 million, right? But because we have tight profitability zones, we have to manage our budget. And that's where AI and machine learning and all those other fancy things that you hear about are actually useful. And so there's plenty of software out there that do this. I use something called Teikametrics. Happy to show it to you at some point if you're interested. But it's a software that allows 365, 24/7 monitoring within zones of profitability. And then the AI up here from the team to go through and make the moves and changes to the portfolios and such based upon the direction that the AI is taking in. Okay, so you cannot win on Amazon without advertising at this point. And you just have to manage your profitability based upon smart bidding strategies. Okay. So the name that I use is, I'll show you Teikametrics. So Teikametrics, okay. I believe the software for individual is $199 US a month. And I think you get up to $5,000 a month of ad spend through the platform if you use it. Okay, we can go through it in more detail one-on-one. Right, I have an enterprise account. Right. Okay, and there are other ones. Just so you know, I use Teikametrics, but there are other Amazon ad software. What you want to do is find one that you feel comfortable with, not just the UI UX of it, but also has enough experience in the marketplace that it has really good algorithms, and they also are partnered with Amazon. Okay, so when we advertise to win on Amazon, the number one thing to look at here is bottom of funnel. Okay, impression, consideration, conversion. Okay, Amazon is great at the conversion part, right? If I'm looking for gluten-free pasta, right? Boom, I got it. Okay. We want to be careful of with Amazon, and this is where a lot of people spend a lot of money, is too far up the funnel. Okay. If I do a too far up the funnel example, it would be healthy pasta. Okay. Healthy pasta has lots of different things that we can, gluten-free, there could be keto versions, it could be made out of, I don't know, hemp, it could be made out of avocado, I don't know. But there's different ways to have healthy pasta. Okay. That's too high up the funnel. We're going to lose a lot of money. because the people who have all the money, the main makers of this types of products, you know, the Procter & Gamble's and GlaxoSmithKline and those guys, they have all the money. They can afford to lose money on that because they're making it up in so many other places, and they can spin their flywheel. So when we're doing ads on Amazon, we work at the bottom of the funnel and we work our way up. Okay, so we're working on conversion on branded keywords is the number one thing to look at. So if somebody types in your brand because they saw you in the grocery, or they bought you from grocery and they decided to, hey, they didn't want to go to the grocery store again, we got to win that word. And so that's a defensive strategy first, and it's the first thing we want to employ. When we're then going a little bit further out, we're looking at important keywords that have direct connotations to what I'm doing. Okay, if I'm selling a gluten-free pasta, okay, that's a key keyword for me. And I may want to look at gluten-free specific type of pasta is the way that I'd go after that, because I sell a rigatoni versus a linguine, right? And so gluten-free rigatoni is much higher conversion rate than just gluten-free pasta, because that's what the person's looking for. That's what I want to show. And you will see people advertise their gluten-free linguine on top of rigatoni, and there's lots of things going on there. And a lot of times they may win, but a lot of times they may lose too. Okay, and it just depends what their budget looks like. Okay. Yeah, so Zoof, I haven't used that. Helium 10 I use all the time. I'm currently using their Atomic as a test. Have not been impressed yet. So they know. So consideration, advertising tends to be competitive brands. Okay, so if I'm selling diapers, right? I have a cotton diaper and whatever not. I may be selling against Pampers. Okay, so that to me is a consideration word. Pampers, 6 to 12 month diapers. I don't know. That word is consideration. I expect my budget is going to be less efficient in the consideration phase. Okay. As I move up, I'm now going down the aisle into impressions. And so I look at baby essentials. Okay. Baby essentials may be diapers. It may be a diaper pail. Okay. It may be diaper rash cream. It may be lotions. Who knows what it could be? But there's impression is like, hey, down the aisle at Shoppers Drug Mart or any, Sobeys or whatever, I have baby items. Okay, that's impression. Consideration, you're looking at things that are direct competitors or really closely correlated. And then the conversion side are words that have already worked and we want to keep working it. Our brand, or usually longer tail keywords that have much more specific intent, like gluten-free rigatoni, 1 pound, right? Or 454 grams, okay? So we have a number of different ad placements we can use. Sponsored product, sponsored brand, and sponsored display, okay? Sponsored product is by and far the most useful one that people use. It's kind of like the 101 of advertising. We could put our product on those detail pages. We could show it. We could put it on search terms, etc. Sponsored brand is only for branded sellers, people who have brand registry, and they are at the top of the page or specifically on pages with premium placement. And then sponsored display is also targeting on people's pages, but can also drive traffic from off Amazon. And the sponsored display is the most expensive one I have found, especially when you're trying to drive traffic from off Amazon, where you're looking at buyer intention and demographics and the like. Amazon's just not there yet, okay? Meta and Google are way, way better for that type of stuff. So how is it different? Okay. Search on Amazon is a product search, okay? Did one here for a knife set, right? And then I showed this, the Helium 10, which is the tool that I use, and you could certainly look that up. I'll put it in here. It looks like Yusuf, you already use it, helium10.com. And it's one of the premium tools you can get. Jungle Scout's another one, which gives you specific data about Amazon. And this cool little plugin I did this for the US in particular. So I looked up knife set, and it tells me all the different keywords that go around knife set. So Amazon suggestions, knife set with block, kitchen knife set, right? And you see the search volume monthly, right? They're all moving down, but it's looking at velocity, and I wouldn't be too worried about that so far. Okay, but also going at related keywords, a knife sharpener. If you're looking for a knife set, you're probably looking for a knife sharpener. And so these are things that we can use as part of our advertising campaigns to see what makes the most sense. But remember, knife set with block with a knife set, that's going to be pretty well related. But if we don't have a block, then it's not a conversion word. It may be an impression word. Okay, so there's a bit of thought process that goes behind these. Okay, but then when we look at Google, Google is a problem search. Okay, so Google, what is the best knife set? Well, Google Shopping pops up. They have a bunch of sponsored ads, right? Across all these different websites, Williams-Sonoma, I'm not sure what Chef Supply is, but a lot of different sites. And then Amazon is actually paying for this themselves. You are not paying for this. High-end kitchen knife set, customer reviews and ratings. They're trying to drive you to Amazon through a sponsored ad. But here's Klein cookware knife sets. So a lot of times what happens is, what is the best knife set? That is going to drive us down a different path versus I'm looking for a knife set, right? And I'll choose the best one from the reviews that I see, right? What I found interesting when I did this search, they have related or keywords before. What's not on here? Best knife set, right? Or what is the best knife set? Okay, because people not as often are searching for that type of problem connotation. They're searching for products, right? And then you even see some brands here. Ninja, there's Color Black, Cuisinart, Chef, right? And so again, you have to get your head into the way Amazon searches occur. And honestly, most of us are pretty typical when it comes to the way we search. And so if you think of how you search, it's probably how a lot of other people search. Just be careful when you're kind of inside baseball with your product in particular. You may think of different ways. So that's where we want to go out and get some feedback. Okay. Okay. So before I move on from ads, okay. I know there's a lot of questions on ads. I know Yusuf obviously doing a lot of ads and trying to get that. Is anyone else running ads on Amazon who's on the platform? Not sure, Joyce, if you've done ads or no.
Yes, I have done before. I stopped doing it because Amazon took down some of my bestsellers, and since I haven't been able to get them back up,
Got it.
there was the rest that was there. I just didn't feel like I want to spend any money on them until I figure out what's going.
Yes, that's a good idea, Joyce, and we'll sit down and review that for sure. Okay, and I know Yusuf has done a lot of advertising. I'm not sure with products. So one of the questions that was brought up earlier, I'm just going to go through the questions that were actually on ads, is does Amazon pay us for off Amazon advertising? Okay, so the quick answer is yes. Amazon.com. Okay, so Amazon Canada does not have this yet, unfortunately, but there's something that Amazon is doing to drive traffic from off Amazon to the platform, and they will pay you 10% commission. All right. So 10% commission, meaning if I send traffic from a Facebook ad to Amazon using something called an attribution link, okay, and I'll go through all that. It's a little bit inside the details here, but I want to share. Then Amazon can track that. And now we can get paid by Amazon, which helps offset your traffic gen costs that you had. Okay. They're doing that now. Who knows how long they'll do it for, but in the US, that's a thing and can be quite helpful. In Canada, we don't have the money part of the attribution side, but we can attribute data. And so what's happening certainly now, and I'm working with a lot of clients on this, is for us to advertise, we're going to advertise on Amazon, which what I call that can be a bit of a full frontal assault. Okay, we're going after a category. We're going after the knife set. Okay, now off Amazon, I have a whole social media channel that I can utilize. I have my Instagram, I have my TikTok, right? And I can build a fan following through that so they understand and they're already sold. They already follow me. They already like what I'm doing. So those people are much higher intention to buy. Now, 99% of people will send those people to their website, their Shopify, as an example, to convert. The challenge with that is, one, certainly you make more money, but two, if you're trying to open up the Amazon front, then getting those high intent people to come and buy is going to help program Amazon to tell them that you're a good product. Additionally, those people who are buying from Amazon, who have bought from you before, are most likely to leave a higher star review. Okay, so when we're thinking with Amazon, we've got to think about the long game. And the long game says, I'm going to make a little bit less money on per transaction basis, but by sending some traffic to Amazon through these attribution links, you can get money back in the States, but no matter what, you're going to have a much higher chance of actual conversion. And that's what Amazon wants. They want signals that people who come to your page buy the product. Okay, we can do that with PPC on Amazon, or we can do that with PPC off Amazon. I have my followers where I can offer them deals and discounts, or I can just get them to go buy, kind of activate those folks. I can also use influencers. Influencer marketing is a big thing, right? I'm not sure how many of you have been approached by influencer marketing people who say, I'll do a TikTok dance if you give me your product for free, right? That's kind of level 1 nano influencers, okay? As we move up, we may have to pay people to actually, here's the free product, and pay them $200 or $60 or whatever for a post, okay? And there's channels that have been developed for this. So Join Brands is a good one for the US, okay? And Embold, so I'll show you. So joinbrands.com is a great channel for the US, and then Embold, embold.co is one in Canada. They're based out of Calgary, and they mainly focus on the Canadian marketplace, right? One of the things with these influencer marketing channels, as you're driving traffic into your site, is 1 or 2 you can manage. 5 or 10, maybe. 100, not a chance. Because each of these people needs a product. You need to make sure they actually did the post. You need to measure, was it effective? They need to be paid. And all of a sudden it becomes a full-time job to manage this influencer marketing channel. And so platforms like Join Brands and Embold are good platforms for you to consider if you're going to get into influencer marketing and you want to move up from pico to micro, well, pico to nano to micro, right? To then the Kardashians, okay? We'll eventually get to the Kardashian level, but not today. All right. So sending traffic from off Amazon is absolutely a thing. We absolutely want to do this, and we absolutely want to make sure we're using all of these effectively and measuring our ROI. Okay. Other questions about ads? Let me see. Referral fee. Referral fee. Okay, so yeah. So on the referral fee, just very quickly for that. So Amazon will pay you the 10%. That's their fee, or the kind of share, the commission, essentially, that they're paying you for sending that traffic. Okay. Amazon charges you a fee to sell on the platform, and usually that's what's called a referral fee. Okay, but I knew what Yusuf was talking about. Okay. Yes, okay, so definitely inside baseball here, but if you're selling on Shopify and shipped via Amazon multi-channel fulfillment, do you get any benefit on Amazon? So no, okay. So one of the things I do with a number of clients is we have multi-channel fulfillment. Amazon is wired for shipping. They can ship really, really well. And so you have products that you sell on your Shopify site, and the order came through Shopify. It drops onto Amazon, and Amazon ships it. Because that customer did not buy it on Amazon, there's no benefit to your ranking on Amazon for it. And so I have a number of products where I have their specific Shopify only versions. And it's because of some of the claims that I'm making on the Shopify site that I can make versus what I can make on Amazon. And so those versions, those packaged versions, are just stored in Amazon as a warehouse. And we have to make sure we turn it fast enough, or else the fees get a bit nuts. And again, we're talking like now we're in 301 level of Amazon. But this concept of using Amazon for what it's good at, which is shipping. And so you ship pallets into Amazon, they ship out D2C. There's a little bit of a different fee structure for multi-channel fulfillment, but that's something we can absolutely do. Okay, so there's no benefit to your product page on Amazon when you use multi-channel fulfillment because they didn't buy it through Amazon. They just bought it on Shopify and it dropped, kind of skipped over the e-commerce platform. Okay, so Amazon has lots of different opportunities for you, for us to get the products up on the platform, sell it on Amazon. We have to be mindful of the rules and regulations in terms of some of the categories that we're selling in. Some categories are easy. If you've got a fire starter stick, no problem, right? Anything with a battery, hard times, okay? Natural health products, got to be careful. Same with cleaning products, got to be careful, right? When I deal with cleaning products, and I've had a few that I've worked with, the biggest challenge is shipping liquid sucks. Okay, so there's different rules we have to abide by for liquid. It's heavy, right? And so the shipping costs are higher. So we just got to make sure we got to be really sharp on the metrics to make sure you're going to make money. Okay. So want to go through what's next and then cover off any other questions that you may have. So we want to make sure that you are differentiating yourself from others on the platform. We have a unique offer that's solving a problem. It's improving on an existing product in the marketplace. We want to find that thing that we do differently and better than others and put that at the forefront of our listing. Remember that title is so important. The first 85 characters of that title is incredibly important. If we don't have a great image that captures their attention and a great title that tells them what the heck this thing is, we're going to have a hard time winning on Amazon. So that differentiation is the big thing. Now, I recommend that we work with someone to optimize listing titles, bullets, descriptions, etc. Okay. The reason is, and you can absolutely do this yourself. Helium 10 is a tool. I pay for it. You can easily pay for a version of it that will work for you. Make sure you know how to use it. There's lots of training videos on these platforms to learn how to do this. Amazon has Seller University. They will teach you how to do all this stuff. Okay. And it just depends on how you want to spend your time to grow your business. Okay. Working with someone who does it all the time, just like I can change the oil in my car, I don't do it. I could change the tires, I don't do it. Right. Because there's people who have the equipment and all that other stuff and they do it all the time. All right. So it's up to you how to do these things yourself, or if you want to hire somebody to do it. Now, developing a brand is the most important for differentiation. Okay. I was at CHFA on last weekend before, and the number of people selling probiotic sodas, okay, prebiotic sodas, it's like they're all the same. The difference is branding and building up an audience. And so making sure that we have an audience that is brand loyal, we have a trademark, you need a website, and we want to make sure that there's people who love us and our product. You think of protein powders, vegan protein powders, hemp-based protein powders. There's lots of those out there today. And there's big companies who have those today. And so I have a unique version that does what and why, and how do I build followers? How do I build fans that are going to tell everyone and advocate for us? Okay, so developing that brand is an important part of being successful on Amazon. And then investing in that marketing and promotion of your product on and off. Okay, so on Amazon is the PPC locations and different areas that we can bid to, of course. But then off Amazon, right? So I have one client where every time she does an event, she has an amino snack, these little amino balls that are pretty cool. And every time she does an event, on Monday, I can see the orders ring in, right? Every single time. And so I know she did an event on Saturday or Sunday because on Monday, the orders spike all the time. And so that type of stuff is going to help build the brand for you, whether they go to Sobeys and buy your product, right? Or whether they go to Amazon to buy the product, or heck, even your own website, okay? Make sure you're investing in the marketing and promotion of your product on and off of Amazon, right? So some resources I want to make sure you have as we kind of head into next week's session. So to set up your account on Amazon, you need the articles of incorporation. You need a passport or driver's license of one of the directors of the corporation and a bill that is the name of the corporation. Okay, so a lot of people use their own personal credit card, et cetera, et cetera. You need to have a bill in the name of your corporation. And the address must match. And this is something I can't stress enough. Many times, I had one client where we got caught in this because their address was 123 XYZ Street, Unit 10. Their bills all said that, except one, and that was unfortunately the one they used, which it said Unit 10, 1234 XYZ Street. And Amazon said, nope, not the same place. Okay, so there's some of that where we have to make sure the details matter, because remember, there's millions and millions of sellers, and there's lots of other sellers just like you that Amazon cares about the customer, and Amazon's going to use any one of those other sellers to sell product. Okay, so making sure we have the address set up properly, I got to stress that. You'll then do a live verification with an Amazon rep where you have your passport or your ID. Slap my face. Yeah, that's you. Great. Away you go. Okay. The one thing you got to be careful of is if the company, and I would see this a lot, companies in the name of their spouse, and then like the spouse has to be the one who opens it. Okay. So even though you're running the company, but there could be lots of reasons why it's in your spouse's name, you need to make sure that it's all set up properly there. Okay. And you have to do it yourself. I tried to do it once with a client and we got yelled at because they, again, assume we're trying to do something nefarious. COVID had an impact on Amazon where a lot of bad sellers, a lot of bad apples came to the platform to sell various COVID cures, as well as overpriced hand sanitizers and the like. And so they all assume that we're doing something nefarious, even though you're not. Okay, so it's like, make sure you know how setting up your account will take 30 minutes max. Okay, it does not take a long time. And you throw a credit card in there because they always want to make sure they have something they can charge you. Okay, so going through that, information you will need to sell on Amazon. Okay, we're going to include a Microsoft Excel worksheet. And why don't I quickly share that with you here. Bear with. Okay. So you should be able to see a Google Sheet, I hope. Yes? Good. Okay. So this is the onboarding sheet that I use with clients. Okay. And so I've included a copy of that in in the presentation as well, because this is the kind of information you're going to need to set up your product. Okay, so the brand name, your website URL, and who's your manufacturer. Because if you have someone manufacturing your product, which is most likely the case, you have to have a contract with that manufacturer and share that with Amazon. Okay, and they don't. You can exit out things like I'll answer that in a second. You can exit out things like pricing. Amazon doesn't care what you pay for your product. It's just they want to know that you're buying enough product. You're not just going to Walmart and buying 3 bags of Oreo cookies and trying to sell them on Amazon. Okay. Now, if anyone else has tried to open an account on your behalf in the past, there's a lot of challenges if Amazon rejected you before for various reasons that may or may not be your own fault. Okay. But this is important. Any trademark infringements related to the account. So I had one client where she had a cohabitation agreement, I guess, with a trademark, and agreements like that are really tough to explain to anybody on Amazon because they're black and white. They just see somebody else has a trademark, you cannot have the trademark, away you go. Okay. Now, other websites that sell your product. Okay. We need to know this because if people are selling your product on well.ca, Healthy Planet, and the like, then we need to know that from a pricing perspective, you're actually going to win that buy box that we talked about. And then top 3 competitors, 3 to 5. Okay. The 3 to 5 competitors is required because with that competitor, we can now start to mine keywords and see where they are making money and where they are not. Okay. Logo files, a brand guideline if you have one, and then proof of ownership. So proof of ownership is saying that I have live images of the product, and literally I mean live. Hold it in your hand, take photos of it, okay? Because it shows that it's not just a digital rendering. That allows us to register things properly as a brand. You have a barcode on the package. All those stuff have to be included. Okay. Profitability sheet. We're going to go through profitability with you, and we'll talk about profitability very specifically next week. But to get to profitability, we need to have X, Y, Z, and mass of your product, as I mentioned previously. Okay. If you know X, Y, Z, and mass of product, and your COGS, I'll just put in here X, Y, Z, mass, cost of goods sold. Okay. If we know those things, we could pretty much do anything with your product to know about. Trademark documents. You need a trademark to register as a brand. You just need to have a trademark pending. Okay. SIPO is way behind on actually sending out trademarks. And so we have a pending process that Amazon now uses to allow us to actually register that pending trademark. Co-packer, invoice, we need to make sure we're showing that we sell enough product. And then if we're going to ship product into the US, there's something called Foreign Seller Verification Program. It's all for nutraceuticals as well as food-based products. All right. Now, product info that you want to gather. What's the name, UPC, natural product number if applicable, the SKU that you want to use. So you may want to tie your accounting software, any manufacturer part number. Your top 4 why buys. Okay, so why would somebody buy your product over all the other choices out there? Why you? Okay, and it could be because of the compostable packaging. It could be because it is only made with whole grains. It could be lots of different reasons why, but we want to know what that is so that we can properly copyright your listing. Product images, lifestyle images, ingredient images, whatever images you have of the product, we want that. Because if you gathered all those things into Google Drive or Dropbox or something like that, it allows you to make a really good listing based upon content you already have. Okay. And any NPN, GMP, good manufacturing process, certificate of authorization, FDA documents, all this type of stuff. If you're depending on the category of product you're selling, you need to have all your ducks in a row. Okay. Product details, weight, size, master carton details, all this stuff. If you're selling toy products, I have one client who sells a puzzle, and that puzzle needs to be toy tested, and there's various areas to do that from. Okay, so these are the two number one things that you need to deal with. And what you want to do for next week is fill out as much of this as you can. Okay, we don't need all of it by any means. It'd be great, of course, but the idea here is to gather your documents about the brand and the specific product information so that we have everything needed to verify that we can make money on Amazon. Okay, so I will now redo that. Boom. Okay, so to register the brand, we talked about North American trademark. Okay, it could be pending, SIPO. So Amazon is not going to do anything to protect your trademark, meaning if someone tries to infringe upon it, that's for you to take up, not them. They just want to know you have one, so they'll give you access to branded services. Okay, live images, what I talked about, and the trademark should be permanently affixed to the product. Okay, meaning if I have, for example, my box here, if I have a box, this is printed on the box. It's not just a sticker. Okay, because a sticker tells Amazon that, oh, maybe you're not, really invested in this product. Okay, they want it to be permanently affixed. There are some things we can do, of course, about that, but at the end of the day, if you have it already printed on a box, as an example, printed on the package, those are things that we need to have. Okay, and then the invoice, live images, manufacturing agreement. All right. Now, how do I get a trademark for Amazon? There's a service that I use, very DIY, but Hello.co is in Waterloo, Ontario, and you pay them $150. It's all online. They do the complete category search. They give you the package you could submit yourself. You then go to SIPO and you register your trademark for $350, roughly. Okay, so about $500, you get a trademark. And I do this, I would say often, but often enough, and it takes half an hour. Okay, if you want to use a legal firm, there's a thing called the IP Accelerator that Amazon has created that has legal firms that have been vetted by Amazon. I've used most of them, okay, before this service came up. I've used most of these legal firms. You would recognize the names, Miller Thompson and the like, do it. And it's about $1,000 to do that way. And then if you have a complex trademark case, then you just work with a lawyer. They'll charge you roughly $1,500 for the trademark to do it. But it could be complex in terms of we both have the same trademark name, but for two very different categories. Okay, that adds complexity that you need to make sure that it's clear. Okay, and so there may be some additional legal fees and things you have to go through because of that. All right, so getting that trademark, critically important, because that's going to allow you to open up all the branded services. If you already have the trademark, fantastic. We need to register that, and that's where we need live images and the like to go through. Okay. Now, one question Yusuf had, how many Amazon accounts can you have open per household? Okay, so Amazon has a rule, which is you can only have one selling account, period. Okay, so if you have a selling account and your partner has a selling account, they have to be two different brands, two different bank accounts, two different addresses. Okay, and your email address cannot be the same. If Amazon detects that you and your spouse have a selling account for two different things, they will shut them down. Because there's various nefarious things you can do by having multiple selling accounts that kind of game the system. And so they just said, you cannot have multiple selling accounts. Now I can have 14 brands and more on my one selling account. Okay, absolutely fine to have a number of different brands, number of different things. Okay, but you cannot have multiple selling accounts for the same place. Okay, and that's just Amazon's rules. Can't argue with a monopoly. Okay. Are there any other questions that anybody has? All right. Well, I know some of you had to leave, which is totally cool. Some of you had to come late. I get it. The video for this will be sent out. You can listen to my voice on double speed then and get through the parts that you don't need to listen to. I do it all the time, so I'm not offended. Don't worry about it. We're going to have another session next week. What we want to have, again, to make that session useful, we're going to have a bit of a general piece. And yes, you'll get a copy of the presentation. You have a bit of a general, hey, here's where we're at. And then additionally, what we're going to do is have breakout rooms where you're working on your stuff. We're going to review. I'll jump out, go to another one, go to another one, go to another one. So much more workshop-y next week. And that where, you know, DePauli, I know you have a lot of questions about digital products, et cetera. We can talk directly about digital products. Yusuf, we're not going to have enough time to go into a detailed review of your ad performance. But as part of this, we can do that hour session to just dive in and see what the heck's going on with it and then give you some tips and tricks and whatnot to help you out. Okay. Ernie, you have a question.
Yes, thank you. So I'm sort of in the early stages here of exploration. I'm not really ready to go to market or anything yet. So
Yep.
should I, follow through with this exercise hypothetically or
Yeah, I would. And the reason I say that is if you think of some products that you may want to sell, okay, and it's like, I'm thinking of selling, a product that is this big, right? Here's some of the things and the fees and the stuff that you need to think about so that when you're sourcing that product, you know what kind of cost of goods you need to hit. Okay. So there's definitely educational opportunities around just, hey, I'm thinking of doing this. Okay. If, for example, I think, Dwayne, it's like soda products and packaged goods like that. So if I'm selling, for example, I'm working with a big case of soda, right? There's a lot different structural challenges when you're selling something like that than when you're selling a plastic jar of something else. And so knowing those will be helpful for anybody, just so that when you're trying to make those decisions about bringing your product or idea to Amazon, you have all the information. Okay.
Great. That's what I want to hear. Thank you.
Yeah, no worries, man. No worries. Okay, how to find manufacturing Canada for private label. Okay, so depends on the category of product. There's a number, when I was at CHFA on the weekend, there's a number of private label nutraceutical companies that are out there who will do, fish oil and vitamin C's and D's and B complexes, et cetera. And so there's plenty of those companies that are doing those things. And so Google's going to be our best friend. So we have a private label agreement. The biggest thing we got to work on with private label, certainly from Canada, is the pricing. And so a lot of those companies will sell you a bottle of a nutraceutical product for $12. You cannot sell that. If your cost is $12, you will not be able to sell it for $25. Right. And so those are things you got to look at in terms of Amazon as a channel for those things versus your own website. You could totally sell it for that. Okay. So you got to be mindful of that. So we could talk a little bit about private label. Again, we're going to have an hour together, Yusuf, to dive into some of these details too. Okay. Well, boom. With that, that's noon. Yulia, anything else to add?
No, not much. I guess the only question that I have is to you, Don. What would be the way of people signing up for one-on-one meetings? Should they do this through me or can they go directly to you? And I know we have 15 slots max for that, so it's the first come, first served, actually.
Yeah, I think so. Happy to have them. My email address is at the bottom of the presentation. Happy to have people send out and just mention that you were part of the Invest Nova Scotia session, of course, because it's a lot of different names here. And then we'll schedule it, and then Yulia and I will just kind of keep a record of that.
Yeah, and you can copy me
Right,
on
so you
the
have
email
my
as well. So
okay,
I have an idea of who's signing up. Thank you.
awesome. Yep, totally. And then just real quick, Dwayne mentioned, yeah, so private label sourcing. Yeah, Dwayne, you do that. And so definitely Nova Scotia, there'd be some opportunities with that as well. Okay. All right. Any other questions before we let you get to lunch? Sweet. Okay. So I will see you next Thursday. You have my email address. Let's get some of those, that information. We'll get that out to you for filling out the spreadsheet and just kind of getting the structure ready so that we can start looking at profitability and just even if you have just general ideas, I can throw some numbers into a spreadsheet and we'll take a look at what opportunities are for you. Okay.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Don. I will be
Okay.
sending out the PowerPoint right after this presentation is over,
Yeah.
and see you guys next Thursday at 9 a.m.
Okay, thank you.
Awesome.
Thank you,
Cool.
everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot,
Thank you.
folks. We'll
Thank
see you
you.
soon. Eh?
Bye.
Thank you.